The NBA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code MBSGPN to get 50% deposit bonus up to $1K. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get a incentive for trial today by going to sportsgambling.com/RATHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's currently Thursday, December 26th, roughly 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host of the episode, Scott Reichel. Once again, joined by Lonte Smith, and together we're going to break down the upcoming Thursday games on the NBA card. Hopefully none of you are too hungover from the eggnog. Hopefully you had a nice Christmas point as though. Looking forward to breaking down the 9 games here on the card. Lonte, how's it going with you? How was your holiday?
Pretty good, man. I hope yours is good. I hope all the listeners had a good one as well. Good, safe one. Yeah, some good games. I think we'll go through a few of them here. Some good action. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the slate coming up. A couple teams that was slighted for Christmas Day that we're talking about it. So see how heavily motivated they are coming into the day after.
Yep, definitely true. I think the first team on people's minds are the Bucks, for example, without Giannis, who are not playing on Christmas, and it seemed like that was kind of a bit of a surprise. Grizzlies didn't play either. I know some people wanted to see Ja. Then again, you never know if Ja's going to be healthy or not, so I can understand why they might not have scheduled him on Christmas. But overall, the games, we're going to start off with a recap of what happened yesterday, because there were a lot of really good games, and it felt like every game was competitive, with the exception of maybe the last one. I thought Phoenix kind of coasted throughout most of the game. But to get into the recap of the Christmas card, a lot of good games. The Knicks barely won. The Mavericks almost pulled off an insane comeback, did lose at the end by 6. The Sixers pulled off the upset against the Celtics. The Lakers won a thriller against the Warriors, and then the Suns did win by 10 against the Nuggets without Booker to wrap up the card. So starting off with your overall takeaways, anything kind of jump off the page to you?
Not really jump off the page. I mean, I thought for the most part, just competitive nature. Even that Denver game was competitive up until maybe like mid fourth quarter. I think it was a 5 or a 6 point game. Whenever Jokic and KD came back into the game, and then they kind of pulled away with Beal played really well last night. I thought the ancillary pieces for Phoenix played well. The Royce O'Neal, I thought even Morris off the bench. Nurkic played well also. He was a big part of staying out of foul trouble, and I mean not limiting Joker, but at least making it tough so he doesn't have to see a ton of double teams. So I thought that was interesting. KD was really efficient early on as well. I mean the Laker game was probably the highlight of the night. That was a great game.
Yep.
Great finish. I don't know how Golden State's best defender gets beat off the dribble with no help.
Yep.
Like on the baseline, you're supposed to push him to the inside where all your help is, and he pushes him to the outside where there's no help. So, yeah, that was kind of troubling. I wanted to see some OT there, but I mean, that was fine there. And then the San Antonio blew that game. I think we were up 6 with 4 minutes left, 4 or 5 minutes left.
It was bad. I mean, Mikal Bridges couldn't miss a shot down the stretch, so he was great, but. Damn, I mean, that's where we could start off with, because Wemby was incredible.
Yeah,
he ended up having 40-plus points. He had 18 rebounds, too. That was my first takeaway from the card yesterday. Is Wemby already, top 5?
I don't know about top 5.
Top 10?
I mean, he got a lot.
Where's he at?
I would say somewhere between that,
between 5 and 10? He's got to be top 10 at this point.
I would say 8 and 12.
Okay, all right.
8 and 12-ish.
About 10. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, somewhere between there. I would say 8 and 12. I mean, just body of work. I just don't like guys that are coming in that are doing.
Yeah, you don't like crowning them to her.
I don't.
I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, it's just undeniable of what he's been able to do, and he didn't even start off good. I think he missed his first 4 or 5 shots. I think he missed his first 3 threes. But then he kind of got into the flow. I think obviously that he's better whenever he is not necessarily creating his own shot, but whenever he's playing on rhythm, when he's coming off the little pin downs and when they're running a couple of sets for him, he's better.
You mean the catch and shoot threes from 40 feet?
Yeah, I think he's much better catching and shooting than dribbling and pulling up. But overall, man, he played great. I thought that the Knicks battle when they were down early showed some resiliency. Brunson was really good in the second half. I mean, Bridges, you talked about it, was obviously incredible from the first jump. I think he scored the first 7 or 9 points with him. So
I think so.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really good game, and that was a really good start to the day. And I thought that we would see similar games, and we pretty much did for the most part. So I think the NBA had a really good day yesterday.
Yeah, I think so too. Wemby once again though just had a monster game, so I'm wondering where he's already at in terms of top 10. But the point is, he's only in his second year.
Yeah.
He's going to win multiple MVPs. Like, he's extremely, extremely elite, and he's definitely as good as the hype suggested he was going to be. It might be even better because I didn't think the 3-point shooting would come along so quickly after the first couple of months of the season. But he had 42 and 18 with 4 blocks. It's pretty tough to beat that. Besides that, though, Minnesota won. His story was Luka getting injured. He'll be out indefinitely, which is something that unfortunately we're familiar with because he's injured all the time. Now, for Minnesota, I don't know how you feel about that game because you were up by 28. Luka got injured, and you almost blew a 28-point lead to a team missing its best player. Now, a win's a win, so I guess, you survive in advance, but damn, Minnesota's unimpressive.
Yeah, I didn't even I like Dallas in the game when we did the show a couple of days ago. I didn't expect this. I mean, Minnesota's just I don't know what to do with them. I don't like their team. I don't like the structure, and then they were having some issues as far as team identity,
Chemistry,
and talking about the referees. So a lot of complaint. I mean, Ant doesn't he's not really a complainer per se, but been a little bit more.
I don't think he's a complainer. I just think he has a lot to say all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as he's complaining about the referees and stuff like that, he's usually not that type of guy.
No.
So yeah, so that was kind of concerning as well. And he was talking about the team chemistry and about how guys can't say anything to one another. So I was kind of off of Minnesota. I probably still am. I mean, I think the win, that's a good win. Don't get me wrong. On the road against a team who's had your number. So they got some revenge from earlier in the season.
But you add the way the game unfolded, and you feel significantly worse about actually how the win played itself out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well. Yeah, that's true.
And shout out to Kyrie, though, who tried to will his team back with 39. So shout out to Kyrie there. Had a great game. Besides that, the Sixers had a nice win. Embiid had a tumble in the pregame warm-up, but he played anyway. I believe he had 27 points. I know Drew Holiday didn't play. The Celtics are such a weird team because I know they won a title. And I get it. Like, they pulled it off. We were waiting for them to do it for basically Tatum's entire career. And yet, I'm still... is something missing? Am I missing something? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but the Celtics just stumble over inferior teams, it feels like all the time. Or they kind of, like, mess around and don't play a full 48 minutes. The same issue that we had last year, but they won a title.
Yeah.
So, does it... You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird spot where there's still flaws with the Celtics team, but they won the title so easily last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters. Like, am I reading too much into something? Am I on to something or what?
Yeah, I don't think it matters that much.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think this is just one of those games. I mean, obviously, a lot of people thought they were going to bounce back and play well after that loss to Orlando, to an undermanned Orlando team.
They lost the Bulls also. I mean, Tatum didn't play in that Orlando game, but still.
But that's still a game you got to win, though.
Yeah, you got to win that game. They lost the Bulls last week. They've had a couple of weird games.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of. I think they're kind of sleepwalking through the first half of the season. I don't read too much into it. I mean, and this was a great spot for Philadelphia, I thought, with all three of their guys back. Like I said, their metrics are a lot better when all three of those guys are on the floor.
And Embiid played well. It's a lot of money for those three guys.
Maxey played extremely well. And I think when Maxey's playing at that type of level and you can kind of get those other pieces to kind of fall in place, I mean, they pretty much, their top three guys are pretty much as talented as anybody else in the league. It's just that they, ravaged with injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, Boston is, I mean, I just think that's what Boston does. I mean, they sleepwalk here and there, and they'll probably rattle off, 10, 11, 12 in a row here, and then, everybody will be like, oh, well, they're back. But still, I don't take much into it. I mean, Philly's not a good team, but they have been playing better as of late with those three guys in the lineup. And I think we saw it. They are a good matchup for any team. We saw it undermanned against the Knicks. They took them to the brink. I mean, and I just think that they'll be undervalued going forward if they can kind of string together some wins here. And I think this is a big one for them.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how bad the bottom of the Eastern Conference is. Like, as bad as it's gone for Philly, they're probably still a playing team or better. They're actually close in the standings because nobody in the bottom of the East is worth a damn. So just keep that in mind. The Sixers make the playoffs probably a decent price because they might have to get through a play-in game or two, but they should be in the play-in, worst case scenario. Like, the East is bad.
Yeah, and who are they gonna play in the play-in? Like,
I was gonna say, not many great teams. So maybe Miami, Jimmy Butler optional. We'll see how that goes. But point is, though, the Sixers had a nice win there. Tatum did have 32 and 15, but that was not enough. I'm gonna skip the Nuggets and Suns game. The Nuggets, I've mentioned many times on the show. I'm not going to reopen that. Point is, though, for the Suns, good win. Nice bounce-back win after the same team killed you a couple days prior. Good win for Phoenix. That's all I got to say about that game. For the Warriors and Lakers game, damn, Curry and LeBron's backs must be sore carrying this entire league for about 15 years, right? Yeah. But it was a great game.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been that close. The Lakers kind of let the Warriors back in the game in the final 5-6 minutes, but still they did enough to get the job done. Reeves was questionable, had a triple-double, classic NBA. LeBron was great. Curry was great, had a couple of insane parking lot threes to basically make the game interesting. And then you said before, Reeves blew past one of the Warriors' best defenders and had a layup at the end. So nice win there by the Lakers. I have to point out, though, forgot to mention in the Celtics game, Porzingis got injured again. What else is new? For the Lakers, AD played 7 minutes, rolled his ankle with nobody touching him, and then the Lakers won anyway. The Warriors, I know we talk about this all the time. I got to bring it up again because now there's rumors that Curry might miss a couple games because of how much energy expended in that Christmas game. They can't win anyway right now. They have been awful. And I got to at least touch upon it again because, yes, even though the Lakers on paper, that's a very tough matchup. That's a clear game comes down to the wire, last possession wins games. That's kind of how I expected the game to play out. But with AD only playing 7 minutes and you're at home, you have to win that game. You just have to win it. And the Warriors can't win any games.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what do you think the problem is? Because is that a Kerr thing? Is that a rotations issue? Because I think the rotations are really bad. But they got Schroeder. That hasn't fixed anything. They're 1-3 since they got him. What do you think's the issue? Because I think we'd agree Golden State, after having a great start to the year, they are imploding. And I got to keep bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that they were playing just above their rating early on, and they kind of just leveled off and probably got a little bit worse. I think it's a combination of everything you just said. Just
when you say leveling off, though, like which aspect do you think is the main reason for the regression?
I think a combination of the young players just not being able to be consistent enough. I mean, we saw Kuminga have like 3 or 4 20-point games, and then what did he have tonight? Like,
well, now he's coming off the bench. He was starting for a bit, and that helped out. And then
what did he have last night? He had like 7 or 8 points. Did he?
Well, I thought he had 6, but I got to check it out. It wasn't good. I'll tell you that much.
So I mean, a combination of that. Paz regressing a ton from his first year.
Kuminga ended up with 14. He actually played better at the end.
Oh, okay, yeah. So no, I think a lot of that had to do with Anthony Davis going down. But as far as the totality of their season, I think relying too much on Curry. They got a lot of stuff going on in the media as far as saying, Curry wanting to get Curry more shots instead of taking, some of the pressure off of him, which is weird.
Which is translation for, I think my supporting cast is horrible. That's how you read the tea leaves there.
Yeah, so they got to get some guys in who can do a little bit more scoring. I think you want to move on from Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins. I mean, pretty much the same player to me.
Well, Wiggins was good yesterday. He had 21-12, but
he's fine. But I mean, do you really want to move forward with him and win a championship? So I think he'll be a piece.
Define win championship, because that might be like an NBA 2K fantasy right now. They're not winning anything.
Yeah. I mean, they got to get a few more pieces. I mean, but I think somebody in the chat was saying like Buddy Hield has gone from really good to really bad and barely playing.
Yep. Well, he can't guard anybody, which is a problem.
Yeah, so I think it's got a lot to do with just the pieces that don't fit. I like Schroeder being there because he's a secondary ball handler. He can kind of get the ball out of Draymond's hands, and he can do some scoring here and there as well. I just think that they just don't have enough, and I thought they were playing a little bit above their rating earlier. So
that's kind of how I feel. I feel like it's the spot where the Warriors have a lot of hype. I don't want to say like the Lakers, because the Lakers at least have 2 superstars. Same argument. You're looking at them going, oh, they got 1-star player who historically has won rings. He can definitely carry this team. And you're like, are you out of your mind? Like, do you know how good the West is right now? Like, no, they're not going to do anything. Even the Lakers. I don't think that the Lakers are a threat to win anything long term. The question for Golden State is, do they hit the panic trade button and try to make a move for like a Levine or somebody? I don't think it's going to do anything.
Levine's not going to fix it.
I think it's not going to do anything, but I'm wondering, like, does Golden State...
I like Cam Johnson going there.
That could be realistic,
yeah,
but...
he adds, shooting. I mean...
Do I think he fixes their issues?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Not entirely, no.
Yeah, no.
I think Golden State's screwed, but I think they're gonna try to...
They're going to get Jimmy, probably.
They're going to buy into the hype and try to get Curry one last ride into the sunset for a ring. It's not going to happen, and they're probably going to be a playing team. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, pretty much. I think if they get Jimmy, it could be interesting. If they get another piece, I don't know if they can get Jimmy and Cam.
Your Jimmy's doubtful for the next game, by the way. I wonder why.
Yeah, right. And then you see Shams report that he wants to get traded before the deadline of February.
Yeah, he has an illness. He's sick of Miami.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens,
so I want to see how that plays out, because I do think that if they get Jimmy and Cam, I don't want to say they can win a title, but they can.
Do they even have assets to get both guys? Like, I don't think they can get both. I think it's probably one or the other.
Yeah,
because Johnson's with his contract and how well he's played, he's probably worth actually like a couple first-round picks, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
so I don't know. I think Butler's more of a fit for Houston personally. If I had to guess where Butler's going to go in the sweepstakes, we'll see what happens. But yeah, point is though, the Warriors I think were the biggest loser yesterday. Of course, Dallas lost to Luka based on injury. That is what it is. But I just think Golden State's got problems and they have no ways of addressing them right now. I got to mention that.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway. See a couple comments here. JT got screwed over by Buddy Hield. Apologies there. Erica, how's it going? Besides that, though, point, it's time to get into the actual preview of the games here for Thursday. But for that, though, do want to remind you once again that we have a couple of great deals going on right now, particularly with SGPN. Check out the app. You can check out our picks and podcasts on one place for free. Just type in SGPN into the App Store. I know that we do a lot of picks there with... Why am I drawing a blank on the name? Lonte, when you submit picks, where do you submit them to? I forgot the name.
Tally site.
Tally site, thank you. Yeah, we have a lot of picks there on Tally site. I have not done that in years. I was supposed to. I have not done that. Point is, though, we have a lot of guys who give out picks there on Tally site, so if you want to find free picks, check that out. A reminder, though, we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy because they have a lot of great items on their pick menu. You also win up to 1,000 times your money with Underdog Streaks. I know a friend of mine actually turned $5 into 3.7K. Over the past week, so shout out to him. Point is, though, Underdog also makes a lot of your winning easier because they have profit boosts and they also have Gimme Pick'ems. And a reminder, they have the NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. You can also use specials and boosts on Airflux entries. And a reminder, you can also use your entry with some games in, for example, the Thursday card. You have the NFL, you have the NBA. We'll mention NBA stuff in a second. For the NFL, though, I think for this one, I'm going to go with the Seahawks game tonight. Give me Charbonnet higher half a touchdown in this game. Kenneth Walker's out, so I think you're looking at Charbonnet having a solid workload. Don't mind his higher half a touchdown in the game tonight against the Bears for the entry. Reminder, though, when you do make your own account, use the promo code NBSGPN. Get a special pick and first deposit offer up to 1K. Bonus cash on fantasy promo code NBASGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Just finished recapping what happened on Christmas. Time to move on into the 9 games here for the Thursday card. Starting off with the first game, have the Thunder taking on the Pacers. Pacers quietly been good lately. Thunder, though, we know, are one of the best teams in the league. Thunder are laying 5.5 on the road, and the over-under is around 228.5. For this game, though, Lonte, any thoughts? Because so far, the injury report, both teams should be pretty healthy. Caruso, though, is out. Want to mention that. Besides that, Miles Turner's questionable. That's basically it. So Indiana, 500 again. They've actually been quietly good lately. Oklahoma City, though, we know has been one of the best teams in the league, and we'll see how they look in this one. I want to ask you, is 5.5 too many on the road?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I'm going to be honest. You know, OKC was one of the teams that I want to play on coming out of the break because SGA and a lot of those guys kind of stressed their frustration with not being able to play on Christmas. And I think that's going to be a big part of them trying to come out and prove a point. Now, can they do it by more than 6 on the road? I mean, by 6 or more on the road? I don't know. I mean, Indiana's playing extremely well as of late. They won and covered 6 of their last 10, won and covered 5 in a row. Their offense has picked up, which has been an issue early on, which is, I think, why they were struggling. They've scored 120 plus in 3 of those 5 games. And they've also been doing it defensively. Opponents have been held to 104.4 points per game during their winning streak. Now OKC is a different animal offensively, and I think Nembhard can make it a little tough on SGA, but they have so many ways to beat you, and their defense is just so good. It's going to be a tall task, but I think Indiana plus the points is a good play here. I'll be on Indiana and maybe play them. I think they might get down early on and then fight back to stay within this number. So look for Indiana live as well for a better number, but I'll be playing Indiana as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be a bit contrarian here. I'm going to go with Indiana money line in this game. I think that even though Oklahoma City is the better team and they have been in good form, winning 8 of their last 9, they've been kind of messing around a little bit. I mean, Orlando got interesting, Miami got interesting. Even the Wizards game was close for about
Yeah,
two and a
it
half,
was.
3
Yeah, it
quarters.
was. Yeah.
Then they almost covered anyway because the Wizards are terrible. But I do think that Indiana can actually give this team some problems. I think the pace will result in a pretty entertaining game one way or another. I don't want to lay 5.5. If you want Oklahoma City, I don't mind maybe 1 to 10 for win margin. Maybe the same thing with Indiana. But I like the value. I think Indiana at home, we know they have a good home court. I think Indiana's been underrated lately based on how well they've played. I'm going to go with an upset to start the card, actually. Give me Indiana on the money line. I think this team's more alive than people might think for this game. And Caruso being out is a big deal because he's one of their best defensive players. They have other guys who can step up, but I like Caruso. That's why they just gave him an extension. So I think that Caruso being out will be a big deal. Give me Halliburton to have a solid assist game again. Give me some guys to step up. I'll go with Indiana at home as an upset pick to get the job done outright in this game. Moving on to the next game, you have a Battle of Miami, or Battle of Florida, I should say, with the Heat taking on the Magic. Jimmy Butler probably not going to play, busy packing his bags a couple months in advance. Besides that, though, you have basically each team having the same guys you'd expect. You have Banchero and Wagner still being out. The other Wagner's out for the year, and Gary Harris is questionable, if that actually matters. Rozier's questionable. We'll see what happens there. I want to ask you, because Orlando's minus 1.5. The last time we saw these teams, Orlando outscored Miami 37-8 in the fourth quarter as they came back and won. Any thoughts here? Because I just like Orlando.
Yeah, you know what? I don't really I don't have a strong play here, but I would look at Miami.
Okay.
They were on the second leg of a back-to-back when they blew a 25-point lead, so they were pretty much in control of that game. Orlando had a big fourth quarter. I'm not a guy who wants to fade Orlando no matter what, especially at home. The 12
I'll fade them on the road. At home, I don't want to bother. They're so good at home for no reason.
Yeah, 12-2 straight up in ATS at home. But I think the spot here is for Miami, even without Jimmy. So I will wait till it hits the screen that he's going to be out and see if you can get maybe a plus price on Miami. But I mean, all the signs are there for all the positivity as far as them, Tyler Hero, and all those guys talking about that lead, saying Tyler Hero was saying they're 0-1. So I think they're going to come into this game fully focused, locked in. I mean, how much can Orlando? I mean, they're losing like 68% of their scoring. They've not.
I honestly stopped caring because they keep winning.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I can't explain how they're winning, but they keep winning. So people keep talking about how much the percentage of scoring they're missing. But if you keep scoring more than the other team, at some point I gotta just give you kudos and tip the cap.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Mosley.
Yeah, I give them definitely a ton of credit to Mosley and the staff. And they had their first round pick, De Silva, playing well. I think he had like 17 points.
Yeah,
they even had a guy come up, Queen from the G League, who was contributing as well. So it's really a next man up mentality.
Queen was so good last game, by the way.
Yeah, he was
good.
Yeah, so but I like the spot for Miami. I mean, I think it's a pretty good spot for them to bounce back. And we've seen instant revenge spots for in the NBA season come to fruition a lot more often than not. I'm gonna go with Miami. I'm hoping that Terry Rozier actually plays. I know Jimmy's not gonna play, so let's just.
I hope Jimmy plays. My goal is to take the under PRA in every game Butler plays until he gets traded. I don't know if he's gonna Vince Carter his stock, where he starts basically just punting games to get out of town, but I'll take Butler's under PRAs. He might leave the game early with illness after 7 minutes. Who knows?
Yeah, so Sham said that it's not going to be a Minnesota situation. He said it's going to be like more professional. So
okay, sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
What is that? Big face coffee? You know.
Oh yeah.
We got to see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens. The CEO can't afford to get injured for that type of coffee sale. But either way, point is though, Butler's probably not going to play for the next couple games. If I had to guess, we'll see what happens. But for this game, I'm going to go with Orlando. They're so good at home. They're 2-0 against this team out just straight up. Miami, can I call them like the Eastern Conference Golden State Warriors? Because it feels like their expectations are solely based on their past. I don't think they're that good. And people keep hyping them up. Is that a fair comparison? I know that the issues are not the exact same. Yeah. Can I draw parallels between those two teams? Yeah. Is that a fair statement? Like the Heat are kind of the Eastern Conference Warriors?
Yeah, I would just say that they are never really that good. They're just like a middling team, and then they get in the playoffs, they get the right matchup.
I'm saying right now, based on how they're talked about, not including all the rings that Golden State had and stuff like that. I mean, right now, if you looked at how these teams are talked about, I see a lot of similarities. Is that fair?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of fair. Yeah, that's kind of fair.
That's kind of what I'm looking at. But the point is, I don't see Miami being that good. That's the main takeaway that I was trying to make there. Orlando, with guys or not, they have heart. Yeah. And that counts for something. I mean, Mosley would be my pick for Coach of the Year. If I had to pick one.
Yeah, Mosley is.
People would say Atkinson. They've been great.
Yeah, Atkinson is up there too. Yeah, I think
up there too. I get it, but
yeah,
I got to factor in the injuries though. Like, it's one thing if you make the playoffs and you lose in the first round in 7, and then you're good again the next year. That's not a surprise.
Yeah, some people think you should have got it last year.
When you're missing your 2 main guys though for basically half the season at this point, and you're still holding serve, I got to give Mosley props here. I'd vote for him personally if I had to vote for Coach of the Year.
Long season though.
Yeah, long season. Point is, though, that's where I'm at right now. Moving on, though, to the next game. Going to look at a matchup between the Hornets and the Wizards. Where the hell's that sound effect? Let me play that sound effect. Where is it? Yeah, so obviously you know what sound effect I'm looking for. This is this one. What a terrible basketball game. Hornets, though, are laying 4.5. The over-under is around 227.5. For this game, Brandon Miller, maybe. So we'll see what happens there. Besides that, you have Koulibaly. You missed the last game. He might be back in this game. We'll see. Sarr's questionable as well. Bagley's out. Who cares? Kuzma's still on vacation. For this game, though, the Hornets, I saw it was bet up from 3.5 to 4.5. These teams, though, are just laughing stocks in their own right. Where do you want to go for this one?
Yeah, disgusting game. It's even more disgusting that Charlotte's taking money, but I kind of can understand it. They played last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And Washington won and covered as 4-point home dogs. Charlotte shot 18% or 19% from deep that game.
That's not really a one-off, though. They're actually just bad at scoring.
Yeah. But Washington shot 40%, and I think that's indicative of how the game went. They are not a 40% shooting team. Charlotte did force 18 turnovers. Washington was plus 12 in fast break points, so they didn't stop the fast break at all. I'm going to go over or nothing here. I mean, 2 bad defenses. High pace could trend towards an over. I know Washington's missing pieces, but they will look to push the pace. Last meeting snuck over by 0.5 point. I think it's up 0.5 point since that last meeting. Both teams turned the ball over at a decent clip, so we should see a ton of fast break opportunities like we saw in the first game. Washington's actually 27th in turnover percentage, so I think we see a lot of points here, a lot of pace. I mean, as far as the side, would have to go with Charlotte. I don't know if I can back. Really, I don't know if I could back either team, but if I had to play it, it would be Charlotte or nothing. But I like the over, though.
I'll take Charlotte if Brendan Miller's playing.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to wait it out. Koulibaly being in or out is a big deal for me. I love Koulibaly. I think he's one of their best players. So it means Washington's probably going to trade him in a year. Just kidding. The point is, though, I like Koulibaly as a player, and I think he does actually provide a matchup problem for the Charlotte team. For this matchup, what if I told you that my first bet of the card for today's slate was in this game? What if I told you this?
You're sick. I would say that.
That's what I did because I took LaMelo assists as my first play on the overnight. Actually,
well, I mean that's not sick. I mean LaMelo was.
It was at like 7.5.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Minus 135. Like LaMelo has the ball in his hands every possession. I think that he's a guy who can take. He could take 32 shots and still get 10 assists because he's a sick human being. Just based on how the team uses him with this offense, he is the ultimate green light. He's never benched. He could do whatever the hell he wants. And if he takes 30 shots and 15 of them are bad, nobody cares. But I want to point
better
out,
than the other shots.
In that last game against Washington, he had 13 assists in that game. And his line's at 7.5. That's my main play. Give me LaMelo assist, give me double-double. I got plus 200 on double-double.
Oh, wow.
How is that not a great price?
Yeah, LaMelo? That is a great price, yeah.
So that was the only thing I took in this game. I like the over, if anything. Washington, worst defense in the league in terms of points per game. Charlotte's not good either defensively. You know what I wish, though? You know how the NFL yesterday, or the NBA, I mean, had the Disney broadcast on like ESPN2?
Yeah.
I want a 2K broadcast, which I know TNT experimented with. I want the teammate grade on display for LaMelo and Jordan Poole. And we just get to see the meter plummet for bad shot selection on half the possessions. That's what I want to see. I want to see the NBA 2K teammate grade appear on the scoreboard for these two guys. But LaMelo assists is my only play for this game. Double-double, maybe triple-double. That's kind of my only thoughts for this matchup. But I like the over, if anything. You have anything else you want to add?
No, just over or nothing. I agree with that. I'm actually trying to find that Melo price right now. So yeah,
I think Bet365 had 135. Double was mostly 180.
Yeah, one of
I
my
got
favorite
2 to
books.
1.
Yeah, I'm with
So
that.
that's where I was at.
I'll still take 180. I think that's good value still.
I mean, he had 13 assists last game, and I guarantee you, with his 30 shot attempts, he's getting 10 points.
Yeah,
So
especially
that's kind of what.
Brandon Miller plays.
Yeah,
Another
and in
scoring
theory,
option.
you have a rebound shot too if you want to go for the hot take. I mean, a triple-double could be on the cards maybe. We'll see what happens. But that was my main thought for that game. Anyway, before we get into the next game on the card, want to remind you once again, they're brought to you by MyBookie, because MyBookie's been with us for years, actually. Check out their new and improved website, great on mobile. A reminder, they also have a great deal going on with the live casino, and they have props on every game. A reminder, you could also use early cash out options. You could also use the promo code SGPN, or actually NBA SGPN, for 100% deposit match up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. It's my bookie promo code SGPN. A reminder, we're also brought to you by Rhythm, because SGPN's proud partner Rhythm gives you the ability to build models in seconds for betting. If you want to get thoughts on AI picks for money lines, spreads, totals, and props, you could use Rhythm. You could also build your own model, copy one from the leaderboard, or you could also let Rhythm build one for you from scratch. Track props as well, NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA. Rhythm has it all. And a reminder, try it out for free for a week. If you're skeptical, use the link. You could use sportsgamebox.com/rhythm, sportsgamebox.com/RITHMM for a 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Just finished going through the first couple games on the Thursday card. Time to keep it rolling with the next game with the highest total on the card. You have the Bulls taking on the Hawks. Now, the Hawks are favored by 6.5. The over-under is around 242.5. Now, for this game, the Bulls have been messing around. The Hawks have been pretty good lately. We'll see if Trae Young's going to play or not. He's questionable. Bogdanovich hasn't played for a couple games. He's questionable as well. As for the Bulls, the point guard scenario is a bit weird. The Sun was a game-time decision. Giddey's a game-time decision. And Lonzo is I'd say, doubtful for this game. You might see Kobe White at point guard. We'll see what happens. But for this matchup, they faced off a couple of weeks ago. I believe the Hawks won pretty comfortably in that game. Or no, the Bulls. I think the Bulls won comfortably, actually.
Yeah, Bulls are 2-0.
Bulls are 2-0. The last game ended up landing 258.
Yep.
First game landed 238, so it makes sense why the total is pretty high. But Atlanta's defense has been better lately. So, want to ask you for this game. Atlanta's laying 6.5. Do you want to lay it or not?
I don't want to lay it, but I don't want to take it with the Bulls either. I like the over. It's the simplest put. I mean, Chicago's put up 125 or more in both meetings. They had no Bogdan or Hunter for Atlanta in the first meeting.
Hunter's been great this year, by the way. Shout out to Hunter.
Yeah, and they were pretty much healthy in game 2. And I think Atlanta played better in game 1 without those two. So that's kind of odd. But the Bulls were 2-0. The Bulls are 2-0, like we said earlier. They were 2.5 point dog in both games, one home, one away. So I think this number is maybe a bit rich. So I would look Chicago's way if anything. But as far as the main play, I mean, I like the over. I mean, Chicago second 3-pointers made and 3-pointers attempted. They got a pretty high percentage. Atlanta is 27th in turnovers, even without Trae. I think they'll be even worse because they don't have a secondary ball handler. I mean, Dyson Daniels is not necessarily a point guard.
No, Jalen handles the ball sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't think he's necessarily a point guard either to be able to handle the ball. So I think that they will, turn the ball over a ton if Trae's not there. I mean, Trae's leading the league in assists. So I think we see a rapid pace here. 258 in the last meeting, like you mentioned. The prior meeting landed 238. The total was 241 in that game, so just snuck under. 11 of the 15 home games are over for Atlanta. 9 of 15 over on the road for Chicago. Both top 3 in pace. I think we see a ton of points here. I'm just hoping that everybody plays. If I had to take a side, I would go with Chicago. I mean, just too many points for Atlanta. I mean, they're 5-10 ATS at home, 3-11 as a favorite. Not things that you want to back, not numbers that you want to back. This is a big number for a team that's not playing as well, covering spreads at home. So.
Yeah, I think if I had to go for a side, I'd go for Atlanta, just based on how Chicago's played lately. They got killed by the Bulls with basically nobody on the team. You saw Lillard and Giannis miss, and they got blown out of the building.
Yeah,
the Celtics got revenge. They killed them. That's kind of expected. Hawks have been good. I mean, Trae played last game. He had a monster game, actually, 29 points against Minnesota. Shout out to Atlanta, though. They cashed my dog for the podcast episode the last time I was on. But I think Atlanta is the better team. So I'll go with Atlanta in this one. The total I'm a bit interested in because Atlanta defensively has been good, but Chicago can't guard anybody. So I don't mind going for Atlanta team total over actually in this game. I think Jalen Johnson is going to have a monster game here. I don't mind his PRA. in this game. I think he could have a really, really good game on the scoreboard. Maybe just RA. I think Jalen could be on fringe triple-double watch for this game, especially if Trey doesn't play. So then that could be a potential guy you might want to back in this game. I know Capella has been amazing against the Bulls in his career, so I don't mind Capella props in this one, but not really a great game in terms of betting for me, but I think it's going to be a fun game if you want to watch it. So I'll go with the Hawks, and I'll go with the Hawks team total over. But I don't mind some props with Jalen and with Capella in this matchup. Moving on, and also Kobe White if all those point guards are out for Chicago.
Yeah, he's been struggling.
I'm saying for assists though. I don't.
No, I like him to bounce back here, because he's been struggling a bunch. So.
Yeah, I don't mind Daniel Steals either, who had like 8 steals
that's
in
auto
3
play.
quarters last game. Moving on, though, you have the Raptors against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are laying 11.5. The over-under is around 239.5. Ja's been kind of in and out of the lineup, but for the game, he is not on the injury report, so he should be playing in this one. For Toronto, Scotty Barnes is here. RJ Barrett's here. Pirtle's out. Quickly still on vacation. Bruce Brown, I think, has played a game this season.
Yeah,
Marcus Smart's out for Memphis. But the point is, Grizzlies are at home. They're mostly healthy, and Toronto has been really bad this season. Any thoughts? Because 11.5's a lot, but with Ja playing, I feel like it's Memphis or pass. You?
Yeah. So my thing with Memphis is they usually they show up and they dominate these numbers against big spreads against teams like this.
That's kind of what I noticed too. So that's why I was.
Yeah, but if you want to take them, I would look at the first half, first quarter, because they are dominant in the first half and first quarter. And I think that they were one of those other teams that was slighted from not being able to play on Christmas as a top 3 seed in a tough conference. But I will preface this by saying, their head coach was a Memphis assistant for 3 years. So he's coming back. So he knows that team in and out. And Toronto has been competitive. Their record is trash, but they're competitive. They're one of
feisty.
They're one of the more competitive bad teams that I don't mind, taking points with. I mean, they're one of the best ATS teams in the NBA, 19-8-2 as a dog. They are 1-13 straight up on the road, but I mean, who cares? We just need them to cover the number. They're 8 losses
first half.
Yeah, I would go Grizzlies first quarter, first half. Toronto full game. Grizzlies had their winning streak snap. Their 8-game home winning streak snap. So I think they've come out a little bit hungrier. I would look over as well. Memphis is averaging close to 127 points in the last 10. The pace should be there. They're 18-12 to the over. I think they can do a lot of damage here. Without Pirtle, Toronto's going to be pushing the pace a little bit more, playing small ball lineup. So I think we see a lot of possessions, a lot of points. So I'm going over, and let me go Memphis early and Toronto late. So I'll go Memphis first quarter, first half, and then Toronto to cover the big number.
I think the word you're looking for there is a live bet. I think that's the key word you're looking for. You probably get Toronto live at maybe even 20 at some point. Yeah. That could be an option. I see Ja having a double-double, maybe a triple-double in this game. I think he could have a monster game.
Smart.
I like Edey in this game. I think his rebound should be a solid option. I mean, Toronto's got no size at all. So I think that Edey could have a good game on the boards. Moving on to the next game, you have my team who started tanking against the Bucks. The Bucks are laying 10.5 for the spread. You have 213.5 as the total. For this game, Middleton, probable. Lillard, we don't know. Giannis, we don't know. As for the Nets, Ben Simmons, we don't know. Finney-Smith, we don't know. I don't know how Simmons is questionable after a national holiday. You haven't played for a couple days. What are we doing here? Point is, though, for the Nets, Bogdanovich still hasn't played. Cam Thomas still out. I got nothing else to add. The Nets have been tanking. They can't score. That's the main problem. I think Milwaukee kills this team. I don't mind the under in this game, but I think with or without Giannis and Lillard, I'm going Milwaukee or pass. The Nets, watching them play, they are an eyesore offensively for the last couple games.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to see, I would bet Milwaukee if Dame and Giannis are out because I think the number will fall a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at, so these teams played, 12-8?
Nets have given them problems for the couple meetings they've had.
Yeah, and Milwaukee shot 57 and 48 splits in that game, and they still couldn't separate, which is somewhat concerning. But again, Schroeder did a lot of the damage. He had 34 and 11, so he contributed on a ton of points in that game. It would be Bucks or nothing for me. Just too much uncertainty with the players out. But if Dame and Giannis are out, 100% I will be on the Bucks.
I think if you blindly fade the Nets for the rest of the season, you're going to make a killing. This is how I look at it. The Nets.
Well, they're
watch
gonna
them
they're
play.
gonna get rid of Cam and Dorian Finney-Smith. So
Yeah, but I'm
wait for
saying
that
even
as well.
before that, they can't score. If you just watch them play at this point. And Simmons has been the main ball handler, main facilitator with this team. So I don't know who's going to actually handle point duties for this game. Shake Milton? I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're going to do for a point guard in this game, which is a problem. So I'll go with Milwaukee in this one. Moving on to the next game. You have a matchup between the Rockets and the Pelicans. Pelicans probably should have just quit on the season already, but they're still playing for now. Brandon Ingram's still out. Rockets are laying 7.5. The over-under is around 220.5. So for the injury report, said before, you ended up having a Brandon Ingram who's out. Besides that, Trey Murphy's questionable. I know he left that game against the Nuggets. So did Herb Jones, but he's fine. But you have Murray playing, you have McCollum playing, Trey Murphy maybe. Herb Jones should play, and Missy should be active. For Houston, Dylan Brooks is out, and Easton's questionable. That's basically it. So for this game, first things first, give me Amon Thompson rebounds. That's where I'll start. You have anything you like in this game? Because I really don't trust New Orleans, but I think this game could get interesting. I think this game could be close.
I love New Orleans in this spot. I love them. I think they're taking money. It was 8.5 down to 7.5.
Yeah.
Been a lot more competitive at home, despite losing 4 or 5 there this month. They're 8-7.
They should have beaten
at
Denver.
home.
They let that
they should have.
Away,
they lost they lost to Sacramento by 2. I think they lost to Denver by 3. They lost to they actually beat Phoenix. They beat Phoenix at home.
Yeah.
And lost to a couple other teams. One of them was a blowout. I think I forgot who it was, but
they've been underratedly competitive lately.
Yeah, they have, especially since Murray has came back. They played, even with this Houston team outside of the first and third quarter. So the first quarter they got into a deep hole, and they played them dead even in the second and fourth quarter.
I like how you phrased that though. If you ignore half the game, they played them dead even.
Yeah. But they still got blasted, and Houston's not a sharp away from home. I think Houston's banged up too. So Dylan Brooks, Tari Eason, I know their depth is there, but once you bring those guys in, I mean, it kind of puts a hit on your 7 and 8 guys moving up to 6 and 5. So that's kind of, or 5 and 6. So that's kind of concerning. I think the Pelicans be feisty here. I think they might can win it outright. They're going to slow the game down, play a half court type of game. Both teams suck at shooting threes, bottom 5 in 3-point percentage. So we're going to see a lot of bricks. I think Missy can kind of control the paint and prevent Amen Thompson and some of those downhill drives. So I think the Pelicans can stay within reason here. So give me the Pelicans and give me the under.
I like the under in this game.
Yeah.
I like Missy as a player. My concern is Şengün might just back him down repeatedly. That's kind of my concern there, but I like Amen Thompson rebounds in this game. I mean, when he's in the starting lineup, his rebounds are crazy. So I don't mind that as a prop for this one. Moving on to the next game, you have another toilet bowl. You have the Jazz against the Trailblazers. Give me a second. Where's the drop? Here you go. For this one, money's actually coming on Utah. I believe it was 3.5 for Portland. Now it's down to 1.5. Yeah. For this game, you're looking at Portland pretty healthy, actually. Ben and Williams are questionable. Tybal, you forgot, still in the league. He's still out. John Collins, questionable. Keontae George, questionable. Utah's been fine lately. They've not been that bad. I actually liked Utah overnight, and now it's dropped to 1.5. Utah's been fine. Like, they have actual offensive firepower.
Yeah.
They don't have any, overall defensive identity, and some would argue it's blatant tanking every time they go to a zone because it doesn't work. But Portland is kind of in the same boat. These teams are pretty similar. On paper, a lot of talent. When you watch them play, you wonder who's coaching this team. But I think I'm going Utah because I think Utah right now is in slightly better form. I'm not going to bet this game, but I don't want to lay points with Portland.
Yeah, first bet I made this morning, Utah +4.
I thought you got 4. Okay, that's a good one.
I thought it should be pick. To be honest, I didn't think
I was at. Yeah,
I didn't think it's much separating the teams, but I mean, I don't want to. 1.5 is kind of too far gone. So I'll just pivot. I like the over as well. Mm-hmm. Both teams turn the ball over a ton. Utah's actually the worst in the league at turnovers. It's
why they don't win games. They have talent. They just turn the ball over 20 times a game.
Yep. They're over in 7 of the last 10. 11 of 16 road games have gone over. Portland also over in 6 of 10. 8 of 13 over at home as well. I mean, they got blitzed last time, Portland. So it's going to be a little bit of pride there. I think if Utah can withstand,
does pride exist with that team?
Well,
they've been blown out.
You get beat by 42 and they led by 46. I mean, And this is only the second time that Portland's been favored all year. And we saw what happened the first time they were favored. It was against Utah, and they got blasted.
Yeah.
So Utah's interior should dominate. I mean, they were plus 27 in rebounds in that game. They shot 30%.
I'm such a big Kessler guy. Just stay out of foul trouble. I love Kessler as a player.
Yeah. I think he'll get moved to a contending team. But Utah shot 44% in that game. They're 9-7 ATS on the road. They won 2 of 3, like you mentioned. They played the Cavs tough. Probably should have beat the Cavs. That was a really competitive game.
I know Munaf and I liked the 14. We thought the spread was way too big.
Yeah,
Utah's been feisty.
Yeah, so if I had to play it, I would still play Utah smaller. But I love the over in the game. I thought the game should be picked. If you find anything with a plus sign beside it, I would bet it just smaller for Utah. But I like the over though.
Yeah, I hope Keontae doesn't play because I really want Colin Sexton props in this game. So I hope that he starts for this matchup. Anyway, moving on to the next game. You have a matchup between the Pistons and the Kings. Last game on the card. Kings were 4.5. Now it's 6.5. The over-under is around 227.5. Now, for the injury report for these two teams, the Pistons, as long as Cade's playing, they got a chance. Duran's probable. Isaiah Stewart's upgraded to questionable. We'll see if he plays or not. This is the Scott Foster game of the day, though. So keep that in mind. For Sacramento, you have Sabonis, who's probable. That's basically it. Now, the Kings are bad. You might think that the Kings are much better than Detroit. What if I told you both teams are 13-17?
Yeah.
Same exact record.
Yeah.
So I can't say that they're much better than this team. I'll put it this way. The Kings are more talented, but there is no way, based on their current form and based on how this offense has been structured with DeRozan, with Fox, and with Sabonis, I'm backing this team laying 6.5. Give me Detroit. I can't back Sacramento. All their games are either chaotic or they lose outright. So give me Detroit to keep this game competitive. I think 6.5 is too many points.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Sacramento is gonna be one of my favorite bets, but this was at 4 overnight, and then it's already up to almost 7. Yeah, I can't lay 7. I absolutely.
That's where I'm at. I might have considered the Kings. If I was gonna take the Kings, honestly, it'd probably 1-10 because all their games are close, and maybe they just outlast Detroit at the end. I don't trust Sacramento defensively enough to lay 3 possessions because they are a mess defensively.
Yeah. So I'm having to remix my whole handicap because I was gonna be on Sacramento at 4.5.
You can still take 1-10. I mean, that's still a decent price.
I'll take them first quarter, first half. I'll go that route. But I mean, I think the main difference is they don't have any depth, and their star guys aren't playing well. DeMar and Malik Monk are struggling. I think Malik Monk probably needs to slide back to the bench. He's a lot more effective there. He's been okay. But as of late, he hasn't been good at all. DeMar's averaging 8 points over the last 4 or 5 games, and
I'm confused what the point of Monk in the starting lineup even is, because if you're looking at Fox and DeRozan and Sabonis having the ball all the time, and Monk's a pretty ball-heavy guard, you only have one basketball. I understand you want to maximize your offensive upside, but your bench is horrible anyway, and you want Monk to cook.
Yeah, right.
You want the ball in Fox and DeRozan's hands and Sabonis' hands. Even though Monk's good, he's the 4th fiddle in the starting lineup. He probably should come off the bench.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and Mike Brown said he wanted to insert some energy into the lineup, whatever that means. I mean,
he's still not guarding anybody, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it didn't work.
But
their offense has just not been good. It's been up and down. So if you look at the 10 games prior to the 3-game or 4-game losing streak, so they averaged 120.6 points in those 10 games. They were 5-5 over that stretch. 500, not terrible. So as of late, 199 and 95 points in those 3 straight losses. So their offense is struggling. I think they can maybe get it going here against Detroit, but not enough to lay this big of a number. So I'll be able to pass on this one.
That's why I'm kind of gravitating to Detroit. It's just a principal play. Why would I want to lay 6.5 or lay this money line price with a 13
2
and 17
evenly matched teams? Yeah.
Based on a record,
yeah,
Cade could have a triple-double. That wouldn't shock me. Duran, I think, rebounding-wise, can at least fight Sabonis for boards. I'm sure Sabonis will end up with 18 rebounds anyway because he's a monster. But still, I think Detroit is good enough to keep this game competitive. Do I think Mike Brown is going to survive to the end of the year? I don't even know. Do you think he lasts to the end of the year?
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll get another year.
We'll see what happens, but the point is the team's got problems. Then DeRozan move in the offseason did absolutely nothing to help them.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'll go with the Pistons plus the points, and I'll go with the over. I don't trust either team to guard anybody. That's where I'm at for this one. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the actual 9 games on the Thursday card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I want you to go first. What are your lock and dog picks for the Thursday card?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I was gonna lock up that Sacramento, but I can't do it. I can't do it at that number. Let's go with a. So I'll give you my dog. We talked about my dog. I like the Pelicans at plus 7.5.
I'm
I mean,
sorry, Lonte. The show is called The Lock and Dog. The lock
yeah.
has to go first.
Look, I got to pivot for my lock because I was gonna go Sacramento. Well, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's go Chicago, Atlanta over. What
Okay.
is that? 238.5.
No, it's like 242.5, I thought.
Oh, okay, maybe.
It's 242.5.
Yeah, okay. Well, I still like it over. I think we see 250 here. I mean, both teams familiar with each other. It's the third time playing. 1-1 over under. I think 238 was a landing spot in the other one. Back to back Chicago 125 plus point games against them. I think Kobe White breaks out of his slump. The pace will be there. The turnovers. I think if Trey is in, then the turnovers will come down for Atlanta. But I think they'll just be even more efficient. So let's go with the over for Chicago and Atlanta. The dog, I'm going to go with the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans, I think they obviously win it outright. Take those points as well. They've been a lot more competitive at home. Mentioned their ATS 8-7 at home. They're under team. I think they're going to slow the game down. If they got to protect the glass, if Missy gets out of foul trouble and they can get some consistent shooting from Trey Murphy, I think DeJounte Murray's been playing better. I think the Pelicans can hang around and win this game outright. So give me the Pelicans as my dog.
All right. So for my lock, I just want to see if the price is still available or not. No, LaMelo assist moved to 8.5. All right, gave it a good run. That was fun while it lasted. I think I still probably will go back to LaMelo for my dog. But I want to know if I should go for a side total or prop because I was kind of tempted by a decent amount on the card. I'm actually wondering if I want to go for a bit of, I don't know, say a surprising lock, but I keep gravitating towards Amin Thompson, but his rebounds are at 8.5 already. So that I can't take. Unfortunately, that has already been juiced up pretty heavily. For this game, or for this card, I mean, yeah, you know what? I think I am going to go with a play on Jalen Johnson, actually, for my play here. Jalen Johnson, I just think, is a very, very good player, and I think that the Bulls defensively are a mess. But Jalen Johnson, I'm looking at his RA, actually. His assists are only at 5.5, and that's pretty low. But his rebounds have also been great lately. Jalen's had 7+ assists in 4 of his last 6, and he's had 11+ rebounds in 2 straight games. So looking at his RA for this game, you could actually get a pretty decent number of about 16.5. He's gone over in 5 of the last 7, and he had 18 in the last game against the Bulls because he had 13 rebounds. So I think that it's a good number, and it's plus money, actually. You can get 16.5 at plus 104. I'll take that. It's on FanDuel. Give me Jalen Johnson over 16.5 RA as my lock there at plus money. For my dog, let me just see what LaMelo is again for double-double, because I do think it's a great matchup for LaMelo. It's probably going to be less than what it was earlier this morning, but I do think it's still going to be above the threshold here. It's plus 160. That's probably good enough for me. Let me just see what his assists are if I want to go for 10 plus. That still might be 2-1. Let me just see what that's at right now. It's 175. I'll go with the double-double instead. Give me LaMelo, a double-double at plus 160. That's on Caesars. I think it's a good price. He had 13 assists against the Wizards about a week ago. He had 13 assists in the last 2 games against Washington. And the ball's in his hands all the time. The Wizards are allowing the 5th most assists per game in the league. They're allowing the most points per game in the league. I think it's a good price. Give me LaMelo for his usage alone. Double-double at plus 160 as my dog. Now it's time for the underdog lineup in this game. Lonte, any overall options you want to go for underdog?
I like Kobe White higher in his points.
Okay, let me just see what number I can get there.
And I know we both like LaMelo, so
yeah, I mean LaMelo, I can still go with the assists if we wanted like 8.5. I think he's live for a double-double.
Yeah,
I might go for PA because I do think the volume will be crazy. Like he could drop 35 in this game, points wise. So I probably would go with a PA in this one if you would have thought for that.
As well. Yep.
Okay, so Kobe White on underdog, his points are at 17.5.
Yeah, he'll walk into 20. A high-scoring game.
Points, or do you prefer threes for Kobe?
Points.
Okay. So Kobe White higher, 17.5 points, I mean. For LaMelo, we mentioned before his assists, or his points and assists. Let me just quickly see what the number is for his PA. Sorry, trying to find it. PA is available at around 37.5. Underdog, though, does have a different line. Underdog does have 38.5, unfortunately. You have any thoughts on that? For the record, he's had 47 in each of the last 2 games against Washington.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we got LaMelo higher on his 38.5 PA. And then for the other option, anything you want besides that? I think I want Ja assists, actually, in this game against Toronto.
Yeah, he'll have the ball in his hands a little bit more because
that's 7.5
is out. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so his assist, by the way, he had 9 against Toronto in the last game. I think he's in a good spot. Toronto does allow the... actually, Toronto's been good against point guards when it comes to limiting assists, but I don't know if we want to factor that in or not. You want to take something else, or you want Ja?
No, I think Ja's fine. If you want to go PA or PRA, I don't know.
Honestly, I kind of like that idea. We'll just take Ja to have a monster overall game. Ja for the PRA is available at 35.5, which I think has some value to it. We'll go with that. Yeah, why not? So once again, our underdog entry will be Kobe White higher on his points at 17.5. LaMelo higher on his PA at 38.5, and we'll go with Ja higher on his PRA at 35.5. That's gonna wrap it up though for this episode. Lonte, anything else you want to add before we wrap up the show?
That's it, man. Good sports weekend coming up, so looking forward to it, man. Hopefully we got some winners today. Had a good show Tuesday, so yeah, looking forward to build on that.
Yeah, no matter how bad the games are, can't be worse than the NFL Christmas games. Till next time, find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. You can find him on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.